here. Thank you, Julika. You can see I'm not experienced in running our peer group meetings. So that's a good thing I have. It's a good thing I have communication team members with me tonight. I appreciate it. Anyway, I'm your outgoing communications chair along with Sandy Gabe. And you'll have some new leadership coming in next year. And I don't know exactly what their plans are for the peer group that we've been running the last 2 years, but I'm sure that they will continue it in some fashion. I don't know who your host will be. We just like to keep everything like full of surprises because we're just a nimble bunch and we can just pivot at anything. So I'm sure that there will be a rich peer group program for you. And you'll have an opportunity at the beginning of the year, I am sure, to talk about what you'd like to cover in your peer group meetings. For many of the committees, the peer group is the prime opportunity to share just details about their programs and how they're running things. We started our peer group meant to be more of an informal sharing session for people to kind of share their tips and tricks and the good and the bad and the ugly of being involved in either tech or communications for your branch, and sort of share each other's moments of glory or of failure, whichever it is. So it's kind of meant to be an informal, and through the course of the last year or two, it sort of has become a little bit more of an opportunity for people to make some short presentations about things that they thought you might want to know about. And so Tracy's been running those for us. So I'm going to do that tonight for you, and we'll keep it a little bit, probably end up a little bit shorter. But the first thing I want to mention is just an unabashed pitch for those of you in the peer group to think about joining the communications committee next year. The applications are out now for people to apply. It's a 1-year term, and the applications are on our website. If you look under California Business and under Governance, you'll find them there. So also the California Connection will have an application there, a link there for you too, and that's coming out in the next tomorrow, as a matter of fact, right? Tomorrow, Brenda? Yeah, already? Oh my goodness. Okay, so that'll have a link for you to join. So that we have lots of opportunities in the communications committee. We have, we do a lot of the technical side of it, maintaining the website and databases and, all of the sort of data geeky stuff that some people like. But we also have a creative services side where we do more of the editing and the writing and the marketing. And so those sorts of things that might interest you. There's also positions. So there's several positions in those two arenas. And then there's also the position of general member, which just means I want to do something on communication because I really like to talk a lot. Or I really like I like to do web work, but I don't want to run the whole show, but I like to do a little bit of it. Or maybe I'd like to learn how to design a survey or something like that. So you can always sign up to be just a general member. And then when the new leadership starts to build the team and think about what they want to do and what their visions and goals are for next year, then you'll see it like, oh, I could fit in there. Or I'd like to do this role. Or I'd like to do that role. So even though you sign up for a particular role, you are not bound to that role because, as I said, we're a flexible group. So as you see what might interest you, you can have an opportunity to pitch in with what you'd like to do and bring your own ideas to it. So you'll have a committee day. I believe it's in August, on August 24th, I believe. And that will be an in-person all day in San Diego. Brand, did you look up, correct? And so that's be the time when your team will get together and really decide what you want to accomplish as a committee and how you can best help all the branches. So it's really a fun chance to get in on the ground floor and kind of bring your own ideas and your own flavor to what we do. So I ask you to really consider joining it and take a look at the description of the committee and sign up and be a part of this. It's easy for me to say because I'm leaving, but I've been on it for 6 years. So I think, I will enjoy a bit of a break, but I know that you'll bring a lot of energy to it. So please join us. And I've got two committee members right here, Julika and Randa, so they can testify to how fun it is, right, you guys?
Right. I'd love to see if they have any questions for us.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, do think about that. So tonight, I thought I might share with you a sort of a bizarre communication tool that my branch has used. And it is, yes, it's robocalling. And I know that the first thought is, no, we're not going to do robocalling in our branch. Our people will hate it, and they'll slash our tires and burn our village, and we don't want to have anything to do with that sort of stuff. But honestly, I'd like you to give it a serious thought, because we found it to be an incredibly effective and cheap way to communicate with all our members at the same time and get the same message to all of them, if used judiciously. Mark my words on that. So that's something we want to be sure you're aware of. So I know that we all have our traditional methods of getting in touch with our members, and we always, we use our newsletters and our social media, and you use your website and you send emails out. And there's still somebody who says, I didn't know about that. I didn't know you were doing that. Nobody told me about that. So it's very frustrating. And so there's no reason not to add another arrow to your quiver and use yet another tool, because the more ways that you can reach out to people, the more likely they are to get the message. So robocalling is one of those methods. And we used it quite successfully for a few years. I'm not doing communications for my branch anymore because I'm a little bit busy at the state level. So, but I'm going to sort of fill you in on how it worked for us and what we learned from it. So the first thing is that we don't call it robocalling. No, we do not call it robocalling. We call it Phonevite. And that just sounds so friendly, like it's a little invitation that comes on your phone, to do something. So that's the name of the company that we actually use, is called Phonevite. And I'm going to show you their website and how it's set up and give you a little bit of information about how easy it is to use this tool. So I'm going to share my screen and hop over, if I do this correctly, over to the Phonevite website. And hopefully you're seeing that now. So is everybody seeing that?
How much is it worth?
Okay.
Yes.
So the name of this company is Phonevite, and that's why we use that term, because it's just so friendly. And the website is phonevite.com, not too complicated to remember. So the way that this works, in a nutshell, is that you will set up an account, and that's quite easy to do. They walk you through everything about how to set that up. I already have one set up, so I will have to just continue to use my existing email and login that I use. But when you start, you will create your own account with your own email address for either if you have a branch email address or your personal email address, and a password, and you'll have to set up your account. And then how it works is that when you have the account set up, you will preload the account with the money that with some money. Think of it as like a gift card. You'll slap down 25 bucks or 50 bucks or whatever using a credit card. And then as you make your calls, that money will be spent down. So the calls, and by the way, on their website is a very nice little video that you can watch that kind of shows you how to walk through it. But essentially, the way it works is first step is that you create your message. You create the recording that you want people to hear when they get your robocall. And that can be done in several ways. And I'll show you that in a moment. And then you're going to upload your contacts, all the phone numbers of the people in your branch that you would like to reach. And that I will show you in a moment. That's also really easy. Then you're just going to schedule to send a robocall. And then you'll have a chance to go back and look at all of the records to see how everything went. Let me walk you through all of that. If there's a question, I may not see you on my screen, so raise your hand and then I think you'll pop to the front, or just yell it out because there's just so few of us tonight, so it should be fine. So the cost is, it's 5 cents per call, not per minute, but per call. So that's an important difference, which means that if you have 100 members, for $5, you can reach all of them with the same message, and they'll all hear the same thing, and they can't say that you didn't contact them. So that's I'd say that's pretty cheap marketing. And then there's no monthly subscription, there's no setup fee, there's nothing. There are some special rates for nonprofits if you're a 501c3, which many of us are not. My branch is not, so we never tried to set it up. So I can't give you any information on setting up that process. However, for $5 a call, it wasn't even worth it to us. We just paid the money. And they also have a free trial that you can try, and they also have a special discount for community service groups. However, there's a lot of strict requirements on that. So I just recommend going ahead and setting up your branch as a regular client and not trying to use any of those fancy things. So once you've set up your account, then you're going to log in. So I'm going to log in, and you can see what it looks like. So the first thing that you'll see is that you'll have an opportunity to create the message that you would like to send to everyone. And you can do that in a couple of ways. They're so easy. You can actually go onto the web, and you can turn on the mic and you can speak the message, and it'll, you can do it as many times as you want. If it sounds horrible, or you said something stupid, or you forgot what you wanted to say, or something, you can re-record and re-record and re-record as many times until you like what you saw. The other way that you can get it is that you can have them call you, and as soon as that's the way I always used. I entered my phone number, and then literally 2 minutes later, I got a phone call from the machine, and the machine said, "Hi, what's your message?" And then I would just record my message into my phone, and then I listened to it, and if I didn't like it, I repeated it. It just said, "Do you like this?" And I said yes or no, and then I created, and I would repeat my recording. I did generally write down what I was going to say, so that I didn't stumble too much in the messaging. And it's kind of helpful to do that and practice a couple of times. However, you can re-record as many times as you want until you finally say, "Yes, I like this." And I recommend that you make your messages no more than 30 seconds, because 30 seconds, shockingly, surprisingly, is a very long time when you're actually speaking a message. So you probably want to do that. Now, in my screen here, I don't have any messages showing because I have not recorded one for a couple of years. And after 2 years, they dump your messages. So normally, if you might see, 4 or 5 boxes here, and those will be recorded calls that you have sent out in the past. And when you see those there, you can do lots of things with them. For example, you can actually put this message on your social media site. There's just a little button that you see the message here and the recording, and there'll be a little button below it that you could put it on your Facebook account. You can also send a link to this message to everyone via email if you prefer. If you don't want to have to call them, you can send them this recording via email, and all the instructions for doing that are here on the website. It's really simple. It's so shockingly simple. Even somewhat more right brain people like myself are able to do it. So then you add your contacts, and that is just done so simply. You can import them with a CVS file and just take all your members and import them all at once. And then you'll end up with a phone book, and you can have multiple different phone books for different groups if you would like to be that way. So in our case, this is our current list of all of our members, 84 members, and I can open this and look at all of our members, and these are all their phone numbers. And then I can select just the few I would like to get, or I can just say send it to all of them, which is generally what we would do. So the import is something that you would do first. You would import your members' phone numbers and then create the phone book. Then you'll have a phone book that'll be sitting here, and it'll be ready to use every time you choose to send a message. The new group and the quick list, I don't really need that, so I don't really worry about that. So once you've recorded your message and you've accepted it and said it's great, it will say, okay, got your recording, and it'll put a little box here with your recording, and then you'll say, okay, I want to send this to this whole phone book, and you'll send it there, and it'll says, okay, I know where you want to send it. The next thing is like, well, when do I want to send it? So that you can see this is pretty straightforward. You're going to schedule your call now, and you can either send it right now, which I never did. I would always pick when I want it to go. I would generally send it. Well, first of all, let me mention, make sure that you're in the right time zone. One never makes that mistake twice, let me tell you. And make sure you adjust for daylight savings. So it'll ask you all of those questions. Mine are already preset, as you can see, but when you set up your account the first time, it'll ask you that stuff. And then, think about what time of day you want to send it. I definitely do not recommend sending it anytime near the dinner hour. I definitely don't recommend sending it at 7 a.m. I found that generally the best time was maybe 10 o'clock in the morning to send a call. So once you pick your schedule and you submit your schedule, then it's going to be asking you for your caller ID. This is something that it's required. And when you set up your account, it's going to ask you for a caller ID. And you can have up to 12 different people use their number as an ID. And then every time you create the call, you can say which one you want to use. Mine this time, or maybe Randa's next time, or maybe Julika's next time. It is required because it will show that caller ID when your phone call is placed. I have never had anyone call me back on my caller ID and yell at me, so don't worry about it. And then there's a bunch of options down here. Excuse me. One is to send the message to your own phone number, which, yeah, why not? So you make sure you'll know how it sounded. Requesting a message back. This is an option you can add if you wish, in which case at the end of your recording, the system will automatically say that the person can leave a message, a response message, and that message would go to this caller ID number. I've never used it. I think you can guess why. I'm not interested in hearing their responses to my message. So I never used that, but hey, give it a go if you really want to hear what everybody has to say about your message. The RSVP option, you can check this box and it will automatically add the option for someone to press 1 to say yes, 2 to say no, or 3 to say not sure. So if you're inviting people to a program and or a luncheon, let's say, and it's particularly important for you to know whether they're going to come or not, you could use this feature. I never did it because generally the things that I would send a Phonevite for were not things that I needed to know a count on. If it was a count, I would usually be using Eventbrite or some other event ticketing situation, so I could have a real count, because I don't think this would be terribly reliable. And then this is the one I mentioned. If you would like to send them a message via email instead, you don't want to actually place the call, you want it to go to their email and give them a link to your recording so they can hear your recording, you can do that. That would mean that when you do your contacts, you would be needing to also add your email addresses. I never used that. I thought, "Oh, if I'm going to send them a message by email, I might as well just send them a message by email." I mean, I don't, it defeats the purpose of the robocall, but it does give them the freedom to choose whether or not they want to listen to your call. So once you've set those up, and after you've done this once or twice, it is just honestly a piece of cake. You submit it and your call is scheduled. And then the call will fire off. And again, since I don't have one here, I can't show you, but after it's done, it will, you can click on your little box here and you'll see um, uh, a spreadsheet tallying all of the responses, or all of the calls, what time they went out, whether or not they were successful. So you can kind of see how it did. There's never, you can download it if you want, but there's not a lot of value in it, other than just that you sort of um, that everything went through, and it'll tell you the final cost of the call. This system will it will leave a message on a voicemail. It will leave a message on a mobile. That doesn't matter. It will only charge you if the call is successful. If the call is not successful, you don't get charged, and it'll note that on your report that you can click on afterwards. So let me see, what are some of the other little features? There's an opt out. So opt out, I have to tell you that I did this for a couple of years, and we had about 100 members, and we got, out of 2 years used, we had 2 times when people asked to be removed from the robocall list. 2, that's all. And they just notified me, and I just went to that little phone book, and I just deleted them. You can see when you saw the phone book, you could put, there's an X if you want to get rid of them. So that's all I did. Now, my understanding is that the system itself has changed a little bit, and now they offer, at the end of the message, it automatically offers people the opportunity to opt out of future calls. And unfortunately, I can't tell you how it notifies you that someone has opted out, because that feature wasn't available when we were using it. So I would urge you to test that, or to contact their customer service and find out precisely how will you know if they've opted out. My guess is that they will message you. Whoever's on the caller ID, they will message you, the account holder rather, they'll message you that you had an opt out, because they take it very seriously. Again, we had 2 opt-outs. And here's what's really surprising. What we got was people saying thanks. Like, they actually said, "Thank you. I'm so glad you reminded me of XYZ." Or, it was a 30-second call. If I don't want to listen to you, I hang up. I don't have to get all worked up about it. They just said, "Thanks. I forgot we were having that program," or, "I'm just appreciative of the last minute reminder." So that was a surprise to us when we first launched it and said, "Oh." So I think the important word, as I said in the beginning, is to use it judiciously. I would say that in the course of a year, I probably sent 4 robocalls. So I would think really carefully about when and why you want to send them. And I think that generally, if it's a regular monthly meeting that, that your program meeting, if it's sort of a regular monthly meeting, I'm probably not going to take their time sending a robocall on that. But if it's a special program that you're having, a particularly dynamic speaker, you're launching a brand new program, or maybe your annual meeting, once a year annual meeting, you might want to send a robocall for that. And they're meant to be friendly. They're just reminders. Oh my gosh, you might have forgotten about XYZ. So I think, just to be using them for those sorts of really important notifications. I would not use them to vote on the budget. I would not use them to vote on your incoming officers. You might put out a call at the beginning of the year for volunteers for certain programs through robocalling. but I would use it very, very carefully. And then if you're careful with it, people are appreciative and respectful of getting them. Let me see, what else can I tell you about this? I think I can play you, if this works, a sample of one that I sent. And let me see, if I go to my, so as I said, they delete the messages after a couple of years, but I had two that they left here. So I think, so Randa and Julika, give me a hand here because this is an audio clip and I know I'm supposed to click something. Oh, I think, but it's not showing me that option to click it for sound.
What's that little button with the triangle? Does that play?
Yeah, usually that when you do a share, it gives you the opportunity to click that you want to share your computer audio. And I'm not seeing that tonight. So, you know what, let me try to play it and if Randa or Julika, if you could just let me know if you're hearing it okay. It's quick, so it'll give you an idea of what it sounds like. And if it doesn't work, I think I can download it and play it that way. So let's try it, okay? Let's see what happens. AAUW members, take a guess. How many elected presidents and prime ministers? Can you hear that okay, everybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
Loud and clear.
Oh, good. Oh, good. All right. Well, then let's hear it. AAUW members, take a guess. How many elected presidents and prime ministers in the world today are women? Find out tomorrow. That's Thursday, April 25th at 5 o'clock at the Miners Roadhouse. We're going to watch and talk about 50/50, which is not an ice cream bar, but is a clever, fast-moving 20-minute film about the history of women in positions of power. It's only 20 minutes because there haven't been very many. So what are some good questions to think about for how to change that? We hope to see you there.
Great.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So that just gives you an idea of what they what they might sound like. And the quality is so excellent. This is all done on VoIP, voice over internet. The quality is so good that many people told me they started talking back to me. You know, like, oh, hi, Dawn. We recognize your voice. And thanks for calling. So it works quite well. So I think that's kind of the main stuff that you might want to know about using this tool and think about with using this tool. Again, our experience was that there was literally so little pushback that we felt very comfortable using it. And I think you can tell that if you make it a friendly greeting, people are pretty receptive to it. So can I answer any questions for you about it? Yeah, Paula?
Yeah. Dot, do you have any consideration or information on whether they can take that list and use it for further marketing? Is there any, security or privacy?
They have pretty extensive privacy policies on the website you might want to look at. I glanced at them today to refresh my memory, and I have to say I didn't see anything particular about using your mailing list, your phone number list. I'd be shocked because I think they'd be out of business by now if they did that. But
Yeah.
I would really be shocked, but I would ask them directly if it's not covered in their privacy policies. Yeah, good question. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Randa. Oh, you're muted. Randa, you're muted.
Our dog was barking, and so I muted. I forgot. I'm curious to know why you stopped using it.
Oh, because I wasn't doing communications anymore for the branch, and no one wanted to take it on. You know, it's so easy. I mean, literally, it is as easy as I just showed you. And but people are uncomfortable making the recording. Maybe they think they're going to sound dumb, or you know how it is. People just didn't do it. I actually, they asked me to do a couple for them. The new leadership asked me to do a couple for them, just because they wanted to use it and they didn't want to make the recording. So, and as I said, I find that it's best to write it down first, and you know, kind of read it so that it's sounds natural, but it you don't stumble around in the middle of your message either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have another question.
Yeah, Paula.
So John, I saw on your sample list that you had, there were no names. Is that because they didn't show, or do you hide them, or do you just not use the names?
We just didn't have the names. We didn't need to
Just-
have the
Oh,
names.
okay, just
Yeah,
put in the numbers. Okay, thank
right,
you.
right. I think you can, when you import, you can, again, you can add email addresses and so on. If you are going to be using that feature, but you know, as I said, never seemed to see much value in that. Other than people could say, oh, I really don't want you to call me at the home, but if you send me the link in the email, I'll listen to your message. I just kind of figure, hey, you know, maybe I might as well just send you a message that says, come to our program tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I do think, and also we did not ever use the feature to embed this in our social media or on our website. And that might be something you might want to play with. It looks incredibly simple. It's literally, there was under your recording where they have your little, I wish I had one sitting here. When they have a little recording sitting here, there'll be like a little F for Facebook, and you can click on that and it just walks you through how to put it on your Facebook. And sometimes that's, you know, that's nice, have a little multimedia uh, stuff on your social media is kind of fun. But I didn't do that, but I think that's easy to do. And it might be effective. So yeah. Yeah. So anything else on robocalling? Phonevites, we'll call them Phonevites. Yeah, I think yeah, think about trying it out. Maybe for your first meeting of the year or something like that. And again, if anyone is interested in not receiving these calls, they'll be pretty quick to let you know. And it's easy to just take them off the list. So yeah. Well, if there's nothing else on that, I'll stop sharing. Oh, I guess I should show you one other thing. It would also, I mentioned that you can record it on, you can record your message on the web, or you can record it by having them phone you and you speak it into your phone, which is what I did. You can also upload an MP3 file or something like that if you're techie enough that you want to do that. I don't know, you know, why the advantage would be. And then, what's this other thing? Oh, I don't see that one right now. Let me go back here. No. Yeah, I guess that was the only thing I was going to mention. All right, well, let me stop sharing. Yeah. So that's kind of all I was planning on chatting with you about tonight. Is there anything, you know, since this is supposed to be a sharing session, does anyone have anything they'd like the advice from your fellow members on, or any fascinating success stories you want to tell us, or questions you want to ask somebody who's smarter than I am, and maybe get an answer from your fellow folks, or anything like that? Otherwise, we'll call this an early wrap up for tonight. Yeah, Bobby.
I'm recalling that back a ways last year, I think, we were being told that those of us that have the AAUW sponsored websites, they were going to be upgraded and changed and so wonderful. And is that still in the works, or has it died, or?
It has not died. It is like the never ending story, isn't it? It's just, we're constantly being told at the state level, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. And in fact, our state president, Sandy Gabe, had offered to National to do a test rollout with some of our branches and to manage the testing because she's just got a lot of background in that. And they haven't even been able to take her up on that yet. So that tells me that they're not quite ready even to do a rollout. Apparently they had someone hired to work on it and that didn't work out and yada, yada, you know, the usual stories. It's been far too long. We are keenly aware of that at the state level. It has been far too long, and there's nothing else that we can do. Sandy is one of the few states that meets regularly with National on a monthly basis, and she brings it up every time and says, "I will help you. This is what I used to do in my corporate life. I will help you manage this rollout. Just let's go." And they're just having you know, many difficulties in getting this project underway. I personally hope that maybe that's a good sign. They're taking more time to be thoughtful about it so that we don't end up with another community hub. So let's take that as a good sign that they're taking time. Anyway, short answer, no updates on it.
Thank you.
Yep. Anything else anybody wants to chat about? Or... Yeah, Dottie?
Well, on that same note, are they ever going to charge us site resources? You know, I mean, I'm not offering, but if it's a matter of needing money, we put it in our budget every year.
But you mean you haven't been invoiced for it?
No, they stopped doing that.
They stopped invoicing? Yeah. Well, I guess they thought maybe since we're not really delivering, we probably shouldn't be charging for it. You didn't hear that from me though, right? So I have no information on that, but I would not send them a check at this time and see what happens. I suspect when they do the rollout.
The few times I've worked with them, which has been quite a few months ago, they were very helpful. So I think that must still be happening if you need help and want to ask a question.
Yeah, I have not heard anything negative about the service that the team provides for the people that are using site services. I mean, sure, some, because there always is some negative, but generally, people report that I can't think of her name either. Sorry, but the woman who provides.
Daryl.
Is it? Okay, thanks.
Daryl.
You know her well, right? You've had many conversations with her. So it is very good and is very responsive and does a nice job. So it's really not, it's not her, it's not them. They're just at the higher level, they're just having trouble getting all those moving parts in place to roll it out. And I think that just invoicing has, probably been put on the back burner in the interest of putting time and energy toward developing the product, which would hopefully that's the case. I suspect when they roll out, you'll get your first bill. Just my guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll let you see your hands.
Yeah,
Are we going to have a meeting next month?
No,
Or
thank you for reminding
This is the
me.
last meeting?
This will be our last
Okay.
peer group meeting.
Okay.
And our your new co-chairs for the communications committee, it's Michelle Bauer and Donna Holmes, and they are both new directors on the state level. And so they're going to be, building their program together and see what they want to be doing. And of course, I'm sure they'll be continuing with peer group. I don't know when they'll launch their first peer group, but I know they'll be continuing with that. And I think you'll be in good hands. Michelle Bauer has an extensive background in tech and is in herself writes code and writes programs and so on. So she gets the binary stuff. And then Donna is coming in with a lot of enthusiasm for looking at the creative services side of it. So I'm sure you'll be in good hands and you'll be meeting them soon. Yeah, if there's nothing else, we'll call it a wrap. And I wish you all a great summer and best of luck. And don't forget to sign up to be on our committee next year so you can do all this fun stuff with us.
Great.
Yeah. All right. Well, good night,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank
Great
you.
program.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
Stop the
Good night.
recording, Dawn. Stop the recording.
Bye.
Stop the recording. I know.
There you go.